Well, hey, everyone, and welcome to the Say It Different podcast. My name is Tyler Altoff, and I'm joined by, as I am every episode, my great, not good friend, Justin Daly.
Justin, we should get name tags so that nobody forgets who we are.
I was curious, have you ever practiced, now that we're like official podcasters, we're a big deal now?
Yeah, huge deal.
Have you ever practiced a radio voice?
No.
Do you think you have a good one?
No, and I don't like acting, so I'm definitely not going to do that live.
Hey, everybody, welcome. Let me hear you try to tap into that.
Nobody backs baby in a corner. I didn't know this was going to happen. There's no way that I'm doing an off the cuff radio. You did a great one, so you do it for both. I felt like
you
have a radio face. I have a TV face. You know what I mean? So
I do feel like let's try that intro all over again.
Okay.
Welcome everybody to the Say It Different podcast. My name is Tyler Altoff, and I'm joined by my great friend Justin Daly.
I would no longer be joining you if you talked like that.
Yeah. I know
that'd be a lot to listen to.
Like a used car salesman.
Yeah. It just feels like you're lying.
Well, yeah. Authenticity is a gift, and it's mine to you. So here we are, real Tyler. Hey, Say It Different podcast. We're just trying to say it different. That's why we named the podcast what we did, trying to bring some biblical perspective to the issues that all of us are processing and facing. And so we hope our perspective helps yours. So. The first thing I actually want your help with is the NFL right now. The storyline of the NFL is Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
Yes.
And I just don't know how to feel about Taylor Swift and Swifties invading and taking over the NFL. It's a real problem.
It feels like a little bit like church and state, right? Like you kind of had one group of people had their thing and another group had their thing, and now they've been brought together, and I don't know that they mix.
I'm having a hard time with it. I'm having a hard time with my wife trying to tell me about NFL players, and she's calling them Taylor Kelce, and it's just it's a mess.
They had a bunch of Swifties making their own Kelce jerseys and misspelling his name.
It's really tough. Sports is supposed to be my sacred place.
Yeah.
It's the male equivalent to Disney World.
Yes. Taylor has invaded something that was very reserved for you.
Here's the deal. I say an anthem before the game. I cheer at flyovers over the stadium.
That's
I watch
true.
my team beat the mess out of my opponent, and then I can go back to my office and I can face freaking Phil in cubicle 6.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to go. Now that Taylor Swift has invaded my space.
We don't have cubicles.
I don't know how to do that. I just don't know. We don't have a Phil either.
We don't have a Phil. Sounds like a great guy, though.
Well, as long as I have the NFL, without Taylor Swift, he is a great guy.
I feel like it could be real, or we could be getting played. I mean, like, she has a movie coming out, his jersey sells, the podcast, his brother's documentary. I'm just saying, SNL, maybe. I'm not a conspiracy theory guy, but it just seems convenient, and more power to him. Have some fun and sell some things. It's great.
I just don't know that I can live in a world where The Bachelor invades sports. I don't know if I want to wake up in
those should be on different nights, or at least on different televisions,
different networks at the very least. Yeah.
We're for them as people.
Yeah.
I just wish that they would not mess with my NFL coverage.
Yeah, let me be clear. If I'm going to a Taylor Swift concert with my daughters,
big
great.
Fans. Yeah,
great.
We love Taylor.
I'd even maybe be able to accept her doing the halftime show at a Super Bowl.
Yes,
maybe.
I don't know why we keep watching her watch the game.
Yeah, that's what I can't do.
Yeah.
I can't do Sunday Night Football covering Taylor Swift like she's the main attraction.
No. She's having some popcorn. Just let her have her popcorn.
Yeah. I don't even, are they officially boyfriend and girlfriend? That's the other thing. I've seen some really hilarious video of announcers trying to describe their relationships. And
I don't know what the kids are doing these days.
They're friends.
Yes, they are.
They're definitely friends.
They're definitely dating. They've been pictured holding hands. They've been pictured with sleepovers, and that could be completely platonic. You never want to assume. I don't think you need to have sleepovers before. No, that would be a Christian stance. Would probably say sleepovers are probably the line. The line's probably
adult sleepovers are no good, kids. Yeah. No good.
Stay away from that line. But who knows? They could be playing video games and just sharing stories and laughs.
Yeah. Just playing board games till 4 a.m.
I'm sure it's separate rooms and separate sleeping bags for sure.
Yeah. Well, all that to say, I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
I don't know that you helped me, but I just needed.
It felt good to talk about.
I just needed to get it out. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. So let me get up off the couch here. That was a counseling session, and I'm going to lock back in with the podcast here.
Great.
I do want to talk today about something that I think's, I know it's pretty serious. We're coming up at the timing of our recording here on the 2-week mark of the conflict in Israel and Gaza. And so I think that I have a lot of questions, as a lot of probably people do, on the whole thing. And I think my first fear with like having the conversation, honestly, is I think the enemy has made truth political in 2023.
For sure.
And whether it's issues on identity and gender, whether it's issues on reproductive rights, whether it's issues on foreign policy, when you start to have those conversations from a biblical truth stance, you're immediately put into this extremist political camp.
For
and
sure.
I just want to maybe preface the conversation saying that that's not what this conversation is. It's not a political party conversation. It's not talking points. This is just two guys trying to apply a biblical filter to life.
really wrestling what's happening. But the problem is, and we talked about this offline, is that logic has left the building.
Yeah.
And so with all of these arguments, people just pick their side without ever even looking at any facts of anything. Like the hypocrisy of their argument, or the way that it's circular and doesn't connect to anything. It's just, this is how I feel, and this is what somebody told me to feel.
Yeah.
And so hopefully we can just wrestle with the emotions, with the different viewpoints that we have, and even the conflicting emotions, and hopefully just help people in on our process, not having any answers today, but maybe just processing out loud.
Yeah.
What we're talking about with our kids and what we're having our conversations and our times with God. So,
well, I started the conversation with that because literally 2 days ago, I sat down with my son at Starbucks, getting ready to go through some homework. And I asked him, hey, have you been talking about the Israel conflict at all at school? And he says, no, Dad, I don't want to talk about anything political. I don't want to talk about politics. I said, whoa, what do you mean? Like, and that's the whole lens that at 14 he has on the matter, right? So I can only imagine how people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s are feeling going to work. Like that. That's the pressure, I think, that's underlying some of this stuff. So I'm 42, you're 39. We were in our 20s when 9/11 happened in America. And I can remember at college walking into the media center after my first 8 a.m. class. There's probably like 30 people huddled around a tube television, the old school, like 13-inch television, watching all the things that we rewatch now on TV and documentaries. Like, we're watching it live. And it was just this crazy time, and I was just watching in complete disbelief that what I was watching was actually happening. It felt like a movie, right? And I remember in that moment feeling like someone had to pay, right? There was just this, like, call it youthful ignorance, I don't know what to call it, but in that moment I felt this is not right. I just can't wrap my head around somebody taking somebody's life based off of their ethnicity, based off of their beliefs, or what. Like, I just couldn't wrap my head around that. And at 42, I'm reading and seeing what's happening in Israel and feeling a little bit the same way, right? And I don't know that's right, and I don't know if that's wrong. Like, what do I do with those feelings?
Well, I think everybody's feeling that way. Like, anytime there's tragedy, loss, especially on this scale of the attack from a couple of weeks ago, where it's unprovoked, it's not soldier against soldier, it's hostages, it's murder, it's beheading of children. Like, how could you watch that and not feel, what am I supposed to do with this? And that's what we prayed about, like, Sunday. Like, we should pray for innocent people on both sides, but, like, evil people should be brought to justice. Like, now it's not our job to judge them eternally, but it is our job to carry out a morality, a code of laws in which there's human rights. And when human rights like that have been violated, there should be punishment. So it's not that I want to send them to hell forever, or I'm now their eternal judge, but somebody should do something to make sure that doesn't continue to happen to innocent people.
I'm a 42-year-old guy living in America, right? Like, what do I do? I agree with everything you're saying conceptually and principally, but what do I do with those feelings inside of me until that happens, right? Like, here's what I'm really wrestling with. I'm wrestling with all that you just said, and I'm wrestling with Deuteronomy, where God clearly tells his people that vengeance is mine, says the Lord. Like, don't pay him back. Let me take care of that. And so somewhere in the middle there is where I got to land, and I just don't know where that is.
For sure, but that would the line is when innocent people, we have laws to protect a morality for the betterment of society, mostly so that people don't harm other people.
Yeah.
Like at a certain, that logic of like, well, we should just pray for them and let them go would be like, well, somebody rapes and murders, and well, it's not our job to judge.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
God, vengeance is mine, said the Lord. Just they'll get it better next time. No, we have to make sure that doesn't happen to somebody else. And so it's not our job, in my opinion, to police the world, but it is our job to fight for justice and fight for the right side of things. And in this, I know you didn't ask this question, but in this fight, you have one group that's a recognized terror group that's always the aggressor, and then you have somebody that's defending. I'm going to take the side of the ones that's not killing people they don't agree with, not beheading their own, not doing all of their acts to their own people as well as other people. I'm going to pick the one that has a society in which there's law, there's order, there's a chance for human life to flourish. Like those are all like concepts we see in Scripture and in modern society, that there are laws to protect people. Yeah. And we have a group of people that are violating basic human rights and laws, and those have to be enforced. Yeah. The world will be in chaos.
Yeah. Yeah. What is okay for me to feel? Like, right? Like this whole these feelings of what's the word here? Like retribution, the feelings of like revenge, the feelings of like they need to pay come from a place of like, in a lot of ways, like the root of that could be, I hope they die. Right. And so that's not the Christian.
Okay. I think we're defining the line. I cannot let it get inside of me. I'm not called to hate people. Yeah. But I am called, we are called to protect people. So the line should be protection. The line should be, we're going to make sure this doesn't happen anymore. We're going to protect innocent lives on both sides, which means people that are dead set on destroying human life should be stopped. Yeah. And if they can be stopped with less than violence, if they can be stopped with less than a war, then I think we should seek those things. But if they're going to continue to do what they're going to do, then we have to use any measure necessary to protect innocent people. We're not out to get, we're not out to destroy, we're not out to annihilate. And if it starts affecting how we feel about people, now we're wrestling with our own relationship with God, with our own emotions. Like we're getting this bitterness on the inside of us. I would caution people to protect against hating people. I think we hate evil, and we hate the evil in people, and we do what we can to bring good, to bring God, but also to protect the innocent. I mean, that's my line. And I could be wrong. And somebody may argue with this. We may get some comments. My line is I keep my heart pure, and the line is we protect innocent people. And they're going to say, well, who's the innocent ones? The ones that aren't killing everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm listening to you talk, and I'm even thinking, you said hate the evil, not the person. And I think if we look in the New Testament, it's why Jesus commands his disciples to pray for your enemies, like pray for the person. Right. And then be hard on the sin.
Right. But I want to go back to just crimes we see in America. We also have to enforce basic laws. You can't just say, pray for the murderer. They need to be behind bars. Yeah. Like, now my heart shouldn't change for them, but there has to be earthly consequences to earthly actions. Yeah. I think that's what I'm trying to say is I want to come against both people. We shouldn't hate them, and it shouldn't be, let's go kill everybody ever associated with Palestine. Yeah. That can't be the answer. Right. Innocent people should not die. We should not pay back evil for evil. Just because they killed babies doesn't mean we can kill babies. We should go stop the people that are killing babies. Yeah. But we also can't, so we shouldn't just go fight everybody and be angry and full of bitterness. But we also can't just sit back and be like, well, we're just going to let God do it. Because then if we take that and extrapolate that across all society, then we would never enforce any law.
Yeah.
And we would be in complete anarchy and chaos.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really heavy deal. I think the other side of this thing is Israel's clearly featured in the Bible from beginning to end, starting with Abraham and continuing on today.
Yep.
And Israel's the nation God used to bring Jesus to the world, which is why he started it with Abraham, right? Yep. And so there's a significant role that the nation and people of Israel historically play in Christianity. And I think if you're a Christian looking at this, you're seeing the nation of Israel getting assaulted in a way that's like, oh my gosh, is this the end? Like, are we about to step into World War III and Armageddon? Jesus is coming back next week. Like, I think there's some trepidation in people, from that side of it. And I've even read articles where people are just running with that in ways that's just like, hold on, let's pump the brakes, everybody. Everybody take a deep breath. Let's kind of take a second.
Anytime we talk end times and I hear that, I'm like, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Like you look all throughout history, you read all the different end times passages, wars and rumors of wars, famine, fires. That's every time. This could be it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Jesus says, I'm at the right hand of the Father, and I don't even know. When he sends me, I'm coming back. And so, like, for people to say, like, this has happened, it's definitely going to happen here. If God didn't tell Jesus, he definitely didn't tell you.
Right.
So I don't know why we're worried about something that we can't control.
Is that what the fear is coming from? Like,
I think so.
How do I just not live in that fear? That's the thing.
Because if we believe the Bible, we know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And we can do nothing about it.
Yeah.
So it should not change that we get up and we're good husbands, we're good dads, we're good people, we're serving, we're giving, we're loving, we're trying to find the right fights to fight. Where do we stand on this issue? How do we support right and come against wrong, but still keep our hearts pure and give people a benefit of the doubt and a chance and not just be so vengeful. But like, we have to work on all those things. I don't know how being worried, obsessed with something I can't control is going to help me with that.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying don't study it. We talk about it, we study it. I'm not saying don't let it be in your conversation. We should be wrestling with this situation. I mean, thousands of lives are being lost. If that doesn't hurt your heart on both sides, then you're not a Christian. Like nobody's happy that war is happening. Nobody's happy that people are dying, especially innocent people are dying that didn't sign up for this. So that should hurt our heart, but it shouldn't overwhelm us. Like this is going to happen. The world is in a state of decay until Jesus comes back. And so if we're waiting for this thing to get better and we're spending all of our life worried or stressed or what does this mean? I just feel like we're so distracted on what we could be doing. And even more so, if we think this is the end times, then we should be busier. Yeah, as Christians, like we should be more involved, more helpful, more loving, because we don't have a lot of time.
Busier in terms of evangelism.
Yes,
in terms
busier
of
in our
moving
mission.
forward the mission. Yeah, yeah. I remember as a kid, we'd take a summer trip with my grandparents to their cabin every summer, and it was like a 10-hour drive, and we'd always ask, as every kid does, Grandpa, how far are we? How far are we? And it was like 30 minutes into the trip. Yeah, and his response was always, "Hey, we're closer than we were when we left." Yeah. And he never gave a definitive time. Now that was before, Apple Maps, Google Maps, and you got the estimated time of arrival. And as simple as that is, I think that's kind of been the mindset with end times and all this kind of craziness is, well,
we should not bury our head in the sand. I'm not saying we avoid it. I'm saying we shouldn't be worried about it. As Christians, if we actually are Christian, if I've been born again, redeemed, restored, I have a relationship with Jesus, I'm not scared of eternity.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm not scared of the end time. We read it like it's coming.
Yeah.
And it may come in our generation, maybe the next one, it may be 1,000 years from now, but I'm not going to do any good with my life just sitting back and worrying. And what I've seen from most people that are worried is they're doing less and they're just got to protect and got to get ready and got to take care of what's mine. Like that's the opposite of Christianity.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we think we're closer to the end, we should be doing more.
That's a good perspective. And I don't want this to turn into an end times conversation. Not because I'm afraid of it. It's just, it in a lot of ways, it distracts really from the heart of what we want to talk about here, which I think I'm hearing, as it pertains to the current conflict right now, my first biblical step is to pray. Mm-hmm. And that feels like a cliche sometimes, but that's real.
No, it's real.
And don't allow emotions and the enemy to diminish the value of that. Outside of prayer, what do I do next? Like, how do I talk about this with my kids? How do I talk about this with my family? How do I how do I have those conversations?
I think you should have places where you can process it in a healthy way. I think if you're a Christian listening, you should go and do some research on the history of Israel and Jerusalem, the fight that's been happening for thousands of years in that region, in that area specifically.
Yeah.
The history of all of the biblical moments that happened in that region that are significant to our faith, like who the land actually belongs to, who it was first, and it's been taken back and forth, and there's been wars, but and who for the modern history has been the one that has gone above and beyond for peace.
Right.
We talked about 2005. We talked about how all the different things that the nation of Israel has done to try and appease. Who has been the aggressor and who has been the one that's trying to be the bridge builder. And you should go research. Like you're not gonna find the truth from one news outlet. So if you're reading everything on Fox News, you're probably too far right, and if you're reading everything on CNN, you're probably too far left. You're not getting the truth. You're getting news.
Yep.
You're getting an agenda. Go read something like in a history book.
Yeah.
From a biblical perspective, from a Christian worldview perspective, and then even a secular perspective. Go read the history. And if you want to know more, then go figure out how it started, why it's going on, and read the history of the nation of Israel versus Hamas and the terrorist organizations.
Yep.
And then pick. And I don't understand. We talked about logic kind of leaving the building. I don't understand how you read the history of the two entities and struggle picking a side.
Right. Yeah. I'll say practically, I've used Apple News and CBN, which is a Christian source, which I don't think is a bad thing.
Yeah.
Has had a lot of really helpful articles listed there. If people are interested in that. But yeah, I know this is kind of a heavy topic, and so I don't really see a lot of,
and it's polarizing because politics has polarized it. If you actually, I would just challenge anybody. If you actually read, if you're a Christian, if you're not a Christian, you don't believe what we believe, you're going to come up with some narrative that Israel's the enemy and Palestine's the victim. But logic has left the building. You must not have read the history.
Yeah.
So, but if you are a Christian, go and wrestle with this for yourself.
Right.
Read the history, read the facts, do your research, and then take it to God, and then pray and let it go. If you're not going to go, if America engaged in the war, if you're not going to go fight the war, what we do is we pray and we keep living our life as Christians to the best of our ability.
Yeah.
If we're not going to fight, then all we can do is pray and live our life in such a way that if this thing is getting worse, that we're bringing as many people with us if this is close to the end.
Yeah.
So why do people sit around for 3 hours and talk about this if they're never going to do anything about it? Unless they're learning, trying to wrestle with it. But what is going to happen is we're going to argue about this.
Right. And
Christians are going to argue about this. And then we're going to be doing less, worried about and arguing about something that we can't really change.
Yeah. No, I'm hearing you say we need to lean into researching for ourselves, which is what the Bible calls us to be self-fed. Mm-hmm. So we need to lean into that and research for ourselves. And look at the world full of bad people as motivation to be a better human. Be a better neighbor, be a better family member, be a better spouse. And I can do those things.
Yeah.
So, like I said, this has been a little bit of a heavy conversation. There's not a whole lot of margin to kind of have jokes that wouldn't feel
jokes
appropriate.
wouldn't feel appropriate.
And so I do think, unless you've got some final thoughts, I do think this is probably a good spot to just kind of put a pin in the conversation.
Yeah.
For now,
I would just challenge people that listen to us, because that's, if they don't like our take, they're going to leave. But if you listen to us, the whole goal of this is for people to find their own faith that actually they can live out in real life. And I would just say, stop being so emotionally led. Stop allowing fear to overwhelm your life. and stop letting somebody else tell you what you should believe. That's why we're having conversations, because we don't have all the answers. Notice I didn't quote 74 scriptures and tell you why you got to back Israel. I think you should go find that out for yourself.
Yeah.
And I think if you use logic and you allow the Spirit of God, you will find somewhere. And I would say there are multiple views of Israel, of the conflict, of the two sides. There are multiple views in the Christian camp that I respect and that I'm learning from. Like, I'm in my own journey of what do I believe about what's happening there and what God is doing, old covenant versus new covenant. So I would say go on a journey, but don't let this distract you from the main thing, which is being a better version of yourself and helping more people. Right. And don't let fear and worry keep you from those two things as well. The enemy wins not only in Palestine and Israel, if he gets the church to now start fighting just earthly battles and not eternal ones. And we're going to be too much arguing and too much worrying and not enough working for the kingdom.
Yeah. Solid. That's solid. Yeah. And I mean, we've said it a couple of times, but truth is not political, it's biblical. And we've got to rest in that. Mm-hmm. We got to rest in that. Yep. So, hey, let's wind this one down. Thanks for joining us today. If it was helpful, please feel free to share it. Feel free to rate it. 5 stars only, please.
5 stars only.
We'll see you next Sunday for our next episode.